Hi, welcome back. This is The Invisible Self by Jason Gray. There is no doorway, no threshold you cross where a voice announces you have now begun your journey of self-discovery. It does not happen like that. It happens when something stops working, not externally, internally. The things that once distracted you lose their effect. The conversations feel hollow. The goals you chase start to feel like they belong to someone else, and you cannot explain why. This is not confusion. This is interference being removed. You were never meant to follow yourself. The world teaches you to find yourself as if you were misplaced, as if your essence wandered off somewhere and you now need to go searching for it. But what if that entire premise is flawed? What if the self cannot be found because it was never lost? What if the real problem is this? You were taught to become someone before you were ever allowed to be yourself. Before you could speak, you were named. Before you could choose, you were shaped. Before you could think, you were told what to think. By the time you became aware enough to ask, "Who am I?" you were already layered with answers that were not yours. When people say, "Go find yourself," what they're really saying is, sort through the noise and figure out what was never you to begin with. The architecture of false identity. Your identity is not a solid structure. It is scaffolding, temporary, functional, but not permanent. Most people mistake the scaffolding for the building. They defend it, polish it, protect it. It was never meant to last. Your personality, adaptive. Your beliefs, installed. Your fears, taught. Even your desires, many of them are echoes. This is the brutal truth of self-discovery. You will have to question things that feel like you, and some of them will fall apart the moment you do. The moment you stop recognizing yourself. There is a point in this process where something strange happens. You look at your life, your habits, your choices, your patterns, and you feel disconnected from them. Not because you have changed yet, but because you have become aware. This is one of the most misunderstood phases of self-discovery. People think something is wrong. They think you are lost. What actually is happening is far more precise. You are no longer unconsciously identifying with what you are not, and that creates distance. It feels like disorientation, but it is actually clarity beginning to take shape, the silence that reveals everything. At some point, the external search collapses. You stop asking others for answers. You stop looking for frameworks. You stop trying to define yourself through comparison, and then something unexpected happens. Silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of distortion. For the first time, there is no voice telling you who you should be. In that silence, something begins to surface, not loudly, not dramatically, but undeniably. A direction, a pull, a knowing that does not require explanation. This is not intuition in the way it is commonly described. This is alignment before language. You do not choose your path, you stop resisting it. The idea that you choose your purpose is misleading. It suggests control. The truth is more unsettling and far more liberating. Your path is already present. It always has been present. You just could not see it through the interference. Self-discovery is not about deciding who you want to be. It is about removing everything that prevents you from being what you already are. And when that happens, your life begins to reorganize itself, not forcefully, naturally. You start moving toward things without needing to justify them. You start leaving things without needing permission. It does not feel like effort. It feels like inevitability. The disappearance of validation. One of the clearest signs you are finding yourself is this. You stop needing to be seen, not because you do not care, but because you are no longer performing. Validation loses its grip. Approval becomes irrelevant, not in a rebellious way, in a neutral way. You no longer need others to confirm what you already know, and that changes everything. Because most people are not living their lives. They are negotiating them, trading authenticity for acceptance. Once you stop negotiating, you stop fragmenting. When the signal stops pretending to be noise, here is the part no one tells you. Your purpose will not feel grand. It will not feel like a title. It will not arrive as a singular moment where everything makes sense. It will feel obvious. So obvious, in fact, that you might overlook it because it does not come from ambition. It comes from alignment. Your purpose is not what impresses the world. It is what expresses you without resistance, and because of that, it will often look simple, but its impact will not be. You become untraceable. There is a stage in this journey where you can no longer be predicted, not because you are chaotic, but because you are no longer operating from patterns that others understand. You are not reacting. You are not conforming. You are not following scripts. You are responding from something internal that most people have not accessed, and to them you become difficult to define. This is not isolation. This is sovereignty. The moment identity loses its gravity. At the deepest level, self-discovery is not about identity at all. It is about removing the need for identity, because identity is limitation, a boundary drawn around something that cannot be contained. When you go far enough into yourself, you stop asking, "Who am I?" You begin to recognize, I am not something that can be reduced to an answer. I am not a role, not a label, not a fixed point. I am a living process, and once you see that, the search ends. Not because you found something, but because you no longer need to. The quiet place where the search never existed. If you are in the middle of this, questioning everything, feeling disconnected, unsure of what is real anymore, understand this clearly. You are not falling apart. You are becoming impossible to contain, and that is not something to fix. This is something to allow, because the person you have been trying to become was never the destination. You are, and you always have been. Jason Gray. #Winnipeg, #Manitoba, #Canada. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll put the link to this post and to his Facebook in the description below. See you next time.